All right, hey everybody, we're going to talk about simple interest. So simple interest is, the reason they call it simple is because typically speaking, what we think about with loans and all of that is actually compound interest, which you'll learn later in life. But simple interest is simply, let's just talk about interest. Interest is something that you receive on either money that you put into some sort of a savings account, and then you get paid interest, or money that you owe, extra money that you owe when you borrow money. Okay, so early in your life, you will have to deal with interest on loans, most likely student loans, home loans, car loans, credit cards. All of that charges interest, and actually, when you get to later in high school, you'll learn about compound interest, and you'll learn how you get charged even more than what we're going to learn here, especially credit cards. So I will take this opportunity to warn you away from using credit cards at a young age, even though it's tempting. Okay, so you heard it here first. All right, so simple interest is money paid, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the formula is I equals PRT. No one ever remembers, but there used to be this green shampoo called Pert Plus. Everybody heard of it. I always remembered this formula by remembering I equals Pert Plus. So I don't know, PRT, come up with something to help you remember that, or you could just write it down on your paper and remember it. So P is principal. Principal is the amount of money you deposit or the amount of money you borrow. It's called the principal. Basically, it's the amount of money that you used, or the amount of money that you put into the bank. So the interest is equal to that times the rate, and it has to be as a decimal. So if it's 5%, you'd put 0.05. And then the time in years, right? So you owe more money on the loan, the more years it takes you to pay back. So real quick, I'm just going to set these up so that you can see them. So always get in the habit with the formulas. I've said this many times. Write the formula every time. It helps you memorize it. So start off with I equals PRT. I equals Pert Plus. I equals PRT. Okay, so it says I deposited $500. So $500 is my principal. Times 3% as a decimal, 0.03, because that's 3% interest. And after 3 years, so times 3. Okay, so that is interest. That's how I solve for interest. I don't have to do any algebra. I simply just multiply 500 times 0.03 times 3, and I get my interest. Okay, so what happens down here? I equals PRT. I deposit 1,000. Okay, so 1,000 goes here. I want to know the interest rate. So R is going to be my variable. Okay, so I'm going to do the interest is 100 and 4 years. So it's 1,000 times 4 times R. And always make sure your variables last, because then you end up with something we're used to seeing, which is 4,000 R. And now we divide both sides by 4,000. And then lastly, if we look over here, we have a I equals PRT, and we're trying to find the time here. So the interest is 100, and I just had a class walk in, and they're going to be really quiet. 800. The rate was I can't see, 0.02, and then that's times time. So we'd multiply those two things together and solve for t. There you go. Talk to you later.
This message